Hi there, and thanks for joining me for this week's edition of your Wheel and Anchor weekly newsletter. Well, now I'm here in the very western part of Austria. In the last couple of days, I made my way from Vienna, where I arrived just over a week ago. I spent a few days there enjoying Austria's capital city, and now I'm in Bregenz, which is, as I say, in the very western part of the country, on the border to Germany, Switzerland, and I'm enjoying some of the little things that I love about Europe. It's Friday, it's an open air market today, and it feels very much like life has returned to normal. And in fact, a number of people have asked me, what's it like over there? How are they dealing with COVID? What's the current situation? What are the restrictions? So I wanted to share with you a few thoughts about all that. As I mentioned in last week's newsletter, the key to everything in Europe now, is inevitably the case for most of the world, is the vaccine. And I was quite lucky when I arrived in Vienna. I was able to head straight downtown, and in fact, in the largest cathedral in the company, I was able to get vaccinated, something I've been waiting to do for quite a long time. And then, of course, you get one of these, and most of our members will be familiar with the International Certificate of Vaccination. It's been around for a long time, and it's what we've needed in the past to travel, particularly to countries prone to yellow fever and so on. And now this is sort of the fallback document that has been used here in Europe as they develop other technologies. And of course, once you get inside the country, it's been very interesting because you really need to have a proof of vaccination to go into pretty much any restaurant or bar or gym or any place where people are in sort of an enclosed environment. And of course, the alternative is for those who have not been vaccinated, either by choice or just haven't been able to get one yet, you can present a negative PCR test, but of course you have to renew that every couple of days. And so the big question, I think, for a lot of people is, well, what happens for those of us coming from Canada? How are we going to be able to enter Europe? And so as far as coming in, and of course the rules differ from country to country, and we haven't sorted all that out yet, you can enter Europe with the same vaccination certificate that is issued back home. And as I say, I do note that the rules are a little bit different from one country to the next. And when you arrive, you should be able to use that same certificate to do the very same things. But of course, what they've already done in Europe, and really is quite miraculous, if you consider, the 350 to 400 million people that live over here, is that they've developed the EU COVID certificate. And you've probably already heard about that document. It is basically a barcode and a certificate that you have on your phone or in a paper form that you can quickly show or flash at any of these places, and it permits you to enter. So it's a very convenient way to move around Europe and basically live a life as normal. Now, the question is, are we going to be able to get those as non-citizens of the EU? And in the short term, the answer is no. They don't have a solution for that. I mean, obviously in Canada, we're just in the process of introducing our own vaccine passports. But I'm fairly optimistic that in the not too distant future, they'll be harmonizing that with Europe and other countries around the world. And of course, that's going to make all the difference for the ease of travel. But the main point is that as far as traveling around in Europe is concerned, we can currently do that. Of course, the entry requirements from country to country vary, and we haven't sorted out all the details on that. We're still trying to understand and get to the bottom of what's actually going to be required for our upcoming trips, for example, to Madeira, to Cyprus, to Italy. The rules are still a little bit unclear, a little bit all over the place, but I'm feeling pretty confident that in the next couple of months we'll have the answers that everybody's looking for. Of course, the other issue that there has been a lot of concern about is what about mixed vaccines? A lot of Canadians, including several of our members, received, for example, the AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine, and then later on for their second shot got one of the other ones. And so how is that going to impact our travels? And I must admit the jury is still out on that one a little bit. Different countries, again, have different policies and rules as it apply to that. Germany, Italy, Spain, for example, all recognized the mixed vaccines, the Covishield, as part of the vaccination regime that's required to enter their countries. Other ones like Portugal, like Madeira. Madeira, for example, is fine with it. Mainland Portugal does not currently recognize it. However, in order to go to Madeira, to go through Lisbon and Portugal, you just need to show that PCR test for entry. So it's not going to preclude us from traveling. It just means that extra step of going to get a PCR test within 72 hours of getting on the plane. But again, it's still several months away until we get there, and I'm feeling fairly confident that we're going to see more progress in that area. So all in all, we don't have all the answers. I'm certainly working on them. I'm certainly looking at any ways that are going to make our travel simpler. But the good news is, number one, life's returning to normal. Number two, you can get around with the documentation that we already have. And number three, overall, vaccination rates in Europe are gradually going up and up and up. And I think that, largely life is going to return to normal before too much longer. And what normal means, of course, is the new normal. But people here seem to be adapting very well, and there's smiles on people's faces. Everybody's out walking around. The restaurants and cafes are all full, and so I take that as good news for all. I hope you'll join me. Our next webinar, of course, this past week we had our webinar on Tahiti and French Polynesia. A replay of that is, of course, in the blog below. Please take a look. The response to that has been fantastic. I think a lot of people are looking for an exotic tropical getaway. Our upcoming next webinar will be on September the 30th. That is our Pacific South America program, an expedition cruise that begins in Valparaiso, Chile, and runs all the way up the coast of South America to Costa Rica. We'll be introducing that program, as I say, on September the 30th in our webinar, so please do join us. And in the week following, on October the 7th, I'm very excited to be releasing our fantastic African safari program to the country of Namibia and Botswana. Part of that is going to be private aircraft flying us from a few different spots around those countries. So that's October the 7th, both of which at our usual time, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Please do join us for that. Take care of yourselves. Keep watching out as I will make my way across Europe over the next couple of weeks. I have to stay here in Austria because, of course, my vaccination is not quite valid yet. I have to wait 3 weeks before I can leave Austria. But at that time, I'll be coming back to you from the different stops along the way in Europe.